What is going on, YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast, and today we have for you episode 60. And as always, I have with me my boy Drew, and we got some things to discuss as always. Like every week, there's always something to be talking about in the Cleveland sports world. But we're going to start with some positive stuff right now, and one of those positives is that thing that you're wearing right now, a good old Cavs jersey or Cavs shirt that is a jersey shirt, whatever it is.
The Scherzies.
We're still riding an undefeated streak right now, and we are playing tonight versus Philadelphia. So have a chance to go 14-0. Andrew, how are we feeling?
I feel good, man. I mean, tonight's a good chance to go 13-0. Because the Philadelphia 76ers don't have any starters playing tonight, essentially.
Yeah, they have three of their five starters are out, basically.
Yeah, and Andre Drummond just got ruled out too, so there's no Drummond.
Really? God, they have nobody.
Yeah, so they're missing Tyrese Maxey, they're missing Paul George, they're missing Joel Embiid, and now they're missing Andre Drummond. So essentially, they have like one starter playing.
Yeah, and that's rough. So fortunately, it's not the little like mid-season cup, thing going on today. We don't start that until Friday. There was a few teams
that did,
I believe last night that did, that did yesterday. So that's starting as well. So we'll we will also have to keep track of that as well. But the Cavs are still undefeated. They're 13-0. They have had some tougher games where they didn't really start the game that well, but they're closing out games pretty well. Like this team just continues to impress, and it's different guys every night. It's Mitchell, it's Garland, it's Mobley. Like everybody is making timely manner shots, timely manner plays. Even Ty Jerome literally carried us to a win. I don't know if it was last night or the other night. Yeah, but literally there's just guys stepping up every single night that we play, and it's never the same guy. And even Donovan was saying that, like, because he had I think Eastern Conference Player of the Week for like that first week or like 2 weeks ago. Garland just did it this past week, and again, it just goes to show you that these guys are just absolutely on fucking fire. And even though they're not playing the greatest at all times, they're really proving to be a legit contender. And I know it's still early, so it's really hard to really say like, hey, these guys are really going to be a solid team. But if this keeps up, obviously they're going to lose games, but this could be like a 60-win team this year with the way they're playing.
Yeah, no, they have a chance to do some crazy things this year. And I mean, if they continue to play the way they are, they have a chance to break the Warriors record.
That is a tough task.
Which is a tough task, but the way the Cavs are playing right now, they're playing unstoppable basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even when they're down and you think, oh, okay, finally, like against Brooklyn. Brooklyn had us by 13, 14 points at one point.
Yeah.
And even the other night against Chicago, they had us by I think 12 points at one point. And the Cavs just crawl back and find ways to win. And both times, too, it wasn't even the starting five that brought us back. It was the entire bench that brought us back.
It was like a 18-0 run or some shit that they made with that. Yeah.
And the guys on the floor at the time were Ty Jerome, Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade, all the bench guys coming in, Sam Merrill. They were the ones coming in and making all the plays, and then they starting five would come in and just finish the job. And Kenny Atkinson talked about that in his last press conference after the Bulls game. He goes, the way the bench has been playing, it's been allowing me to rest the starters even longer. Yeah. And it helps us finish out these games because he's like, I can rest the starters for 10 minutes now instead of like 5 or so minutes. They can rest for 10 minutes, and then they can just come back in when we're down maybe one or we're up by a couple or whatever, and they can just come in and just finish the job. Because now they're fully ready, they're rested, they're good to go. It's not like JB last year where these guys are playing 40 minutes and they're dying out there and they're gassed all hell. And
I was just gonna say that, like, when you think about how long the NBA season really is, you really have to spare out your guys. And you got guys like, Embiid who will not play a single back-to-back night ever this
Yeah.
year. Like he's done with that. And that probably won't be the case with us, but like it also gives guys like, Jared Allen isn't totally 100%. I think he's questionable. And it's just like this night where you don't have Embiid, you don't have Paul, you don't have Maxi, and then you don't have Drummond as well. Like you can afford to rest Jared Allen if Evan is also cool because I think he's sick right now, but
Mhm.
I think he'll play. But um, again, like being able to rest your starters the way that we have, it is a night and day difference between what we had to do with last year. Because again, as you said today and even last week, when we're playing our starters like 35 to 38, almost 40 minutes in a night, and it's damn near every time you play a game, your team is not going to be able to survive the season without being injured or at least just absolutely gassed. And that's what happened to us last year. Like we had a chance to make a run. I think we were the only team in the East really that matched up well with Boston.
Yeah.
And even when we didn't have Jared Allen, we still I feel like matched up better against them than any other any other team that was going to be in the East. And give credit to Indy, like they played their ass off last year too, but they just couldn't match up with them like we could. They just didn't
Mhm.
quite have the size that we have, and the Cavs just have it now. Like I think whatever key they needed to really unlock this team, they found it in the off season, and it started with Kenny, and it's just it. Everybody has confidence, and everybody is tight. Like even Jerome was saying that the other night. He's like, "Man, when we're down like that, like we don't start pointing, uh, you know, uh, you know, fingers. God, I can't speak tonight. We're not pointing at each other and saying, "Hey, it's your fault." Blah blah blah. Like no, we just pick each other up and we keep going. And this team's vibe and their aura that they have, it gives everybody confidence, and it almost reminds me of the way that the Browns defense last year was playing, where it was just they just had that aura of, hey, nobody can stop us because we're just that good. That's for whatever reason that's the exact feeling that I get with this Cavs team, but it's different guys stepping up every game, and we saw glimpses of it last year, and now we have it. And I do want to ask, because this is a legitimate conversation right now. Do we believe that the Garland and Donovan duo is like the best in the NBA right now? Because you can definitely say Luca and Kai are definitely there, but there's not many more backcourts that are this fucking impressive right now.
No, I think they are the best backcourt in the league right now. I don't think anyone's denying it at this point. I've heard multiple people say it that the Cavs, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are the best backcourt in basketball right now.
Yeah.
Because when one is not doing so hot, the other is, and vice versa, or they're both just on fire, and that's when you just really lose. The times we scored 130, both of them had 20 to 25 points plus each. And the times like the other night against Chicago, Mitchell had 37 and Darius Garland had like 17.
Yeah.
So these guys just continue to pick each other up. These guys continue to help each other out. They continue to work on things together. And I mean, even with people are like, well, Garland didn't have that effective of a game. He only had like 15 points. But like against Chicago the other night, Garland was the one who finished the game. He was the one who made those last couple layups to put the game to bed. So
Yeah.
even he didn't score a whole lot. He's the one that finished it. He's the one who called game. Donovan Mitchell did all of his work in the first half.
Yeah.
Garland came in the second half and finished the job.
His confidence is through the roof too, man.
Yeah.
Like it he's back to that sort of all-star level like
Mm-hmm.
offense that he was playing with just a few years ago. And I don't think enough people really give credit to just how rough of a year he had last year between the jaw and his things going on in his personal life. I know when he broke his jaw and he had his mouth wired shut, the dude lost like 10 or 12 pounds. I think. Like that's
Yeah.
he's not a big guy, so to be able to have to battle back to that and through that, I'm sure his stamina was down as well. And again, it was all mental last year for him after those injuries. And we were saying that, like, we knew that that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's just on a revenge tour. And dude, I'm fucking here for it because I like I always feared that Garland would be the one that would be sort of the scapegoat or Jared Allen. And turns out nobody needed to be the scapegoat. It was just fucking JB. And that's fine because I despised him for years.
Mm-hmm.
I despised JB ever since we lost to the freaking Hawks in the play-in before the playoffs even started. Before we had Mitchell. And ever since then, he just always rubbed me the wrong way. And it just proved that was the only difference. And I'm really glad that the Cavs doubled down and said, yeah, this is how much we believe in this team. We're going to lock everybody up and we're going to continue it rolling. Like, we don't have to change a lot. We just needed to change the system. And
Mm-hmm.
it's working. It really is. So,
Yeah, and I think what really helps the most from the JB era to now is the bench. I mean,
very much so.
looking at the stats now, the Cavs are third total in bench rating with a 6.0 bench rating. The only teams above them are OKC at 6.7 and Golden State at 6.2. But all the numbers just favor the Cavs. I mean, just looking at the past few games, while you were talking, I was doing some calculations. The Cavs bench in the last, let's go with 3 games. The last 3 games, the Cavs bench is averaging 38.5 points.
I mean,
To the opposing benches, 13.5.
yeah.
So they are doubling the other team's bench points, almost tripling their bench
Yeah.
points. So the Cavs are coming in, and this is why, and this is the big reason why we're 12-0, is because the bench is coming in, they're doing the job, they're letting their starters rest, and they're scoring buckets, man. They're giving 40 points from the bench almost every night. Like, looking at last night's stats, 3 people off the bench against the Bulls. It was Niang, Levert, and Ty Jerome. All 3 of them had 12 points.
Yeah.
That's already 30 points combined.
And then you start to trickle in Sam Merrill getting a few threes here, here and there, because he's always good for like 1 to 3 threes a night.
Yeah, and looking at these,
has been shooting a lot better this year as well.
That was gonna be my thing too. Is Okoro's been unstoppable on offense too. Like, his shot looks better. It's going in. All of his shots are falling. Even just looking at some of the other stats here for the bench, the Cavs bench leads in defensive rebounds, defensive rebound percentage. They lead in just rebound percentage, period. The Cavs lead in assists off the bench. I think assist percentage too off the bench. Like, they're top in the league in like so many different stats that it's unbelievable. And
guys have found their roles.
Yeah, and their field goal percentage, they're number 1 in field goal percentage off the bench with a 62% field goal percentage. 62% from the field goal. The next team is the Timberwolves at 57.
Yeah.
So the Cavs bench is shooting lights out too. They're coming in, and I think I heard on the broadcast the other night against Chicago that like 3 or 4 Cavs players off the bench are shooting from like 60% from 3, or like 55 to 60% from 3. They're shooting like 60% from the field in general.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing. And then you talk about, again, like guys like Ty Jerome, who coming in averaging like 6 assists and averaging like 12 points. Guys like George Niang averaging almost 12 and a half points off the bench. LeVert averaging almost 15 and a half off the bench. Like, these guys are coming in making massive impacts. And imagine this. We still don't have Max Strus yet.
I was just gonna say that we do not have him back, and we also don't know where Amani Bates is gonna fit now.
Yeah.
Like
imagine Max Strus coming back into this lineup and just having all the free threes, like him and Merrill just jacking up threes together. Like, you're gonna be panicking if you're the other team. You're like, who do I stop? Do I stop Merrill? Do I stop Strus? Because either one is gonna pull up and jack a three and probably make it.
And especially off his ankle, like he's not going to be trying to look to drive a lot. So Strus is probably just going to lay up in the corner and just fucking vibe all day long. Like that's going to be his style for a little bit, and that may be his role. Like in this offense, he doesn't have to do a lot, but we've seen him, like he has the ability to have a 7 or 8-3 night. And I just really want to give credit to guys like Jerome and LeVert, because they now give you a chance to run the offense with your bench players. Like last year we didn't have that, because you always needed either Donovan, or you always needed Garland, or you always needed LeVert. Now they have two different guys in two different units that can run the court at all times. And guess what? If you're feeling frisky, Mobley can bring it up the court if he really wants. Like there's different guys that are just doing different things. Even Okoro can do a little bit as well. And it's just fucking working. And I really do want to ask you, how far do you think the Cavs can actually stretch this streak? Because at some point they're going to lose. Like this is the NBA. They're not going to 82-0, although there is like a plus 10,000 thing on FanDuel where you can bet if the Cavs are going to go 82-0, but it's not happening. But how long do you think this can go? Because I think tonight's a dub. I just think I just hope that they don't play down to what the 76ers are going to be. Yeah. But come out like you did against Golden State, and just fucking rip them from the start.
So to answer that question, obviously you have a favorable matchup tonight because half the 76ers are out. So I think you can win tonight and go 13-0. Yeah. And then your next game is against Chicago on Friday. That's the NBA Cup. That doesn't count. So even if you lost that doesn't even matter to the NBA's regular season record. Yeah. So that doesn't even get chalked up as a loss at all. Then you play Charlotte on Sunday. So you play Charlotte for the first time on Sunday, and we'll have to see what they're all about. But that's at home.
Yeah.
So that's a home. So that's right there. That could easily be 14-0 right there by Sunday. And then I think this game against Boston on Tuesday, I want to say that's also an NBA Cup game. I'm gonna go double check here right now. Yeah, that is an NBA Cup game. Okay. So again, that game against the Celtics won't matter either if you lose. So that's those.
Yeah, but even then, if that's the game that you do lose, it's at least against the best team in the East besides us. So I mean, it's gonna be a good game to really see where we're at.
And here's the records too, because I have it also on the ESPN app. Here are the records of those teams tonight: 76ers 2-8.
Yeah, they're bad.
Hornets 4-7. Then you play the Pelicans again, who are 3-8.
Yeah, they're
and they just
injury riddled.
Yeah. And then you play the 2-10 Raptors, the 5-7 Hawks twice, because you play them on a Wednesday, and then the next game on a Friday is the NBA Cup. So again, that doesn't matter. Then the next toughest game you have is the Celtics on the 1st of December. And already then that's, let's see, 13-0, 14-0, 15-0, 16-0, 17-0. You'd be 17-0 going for 18-0 at that point. And if you beat them, if you beat the Celtics, then you have the Nuggets, which would be a tough competition too. But mind you, both of these games are at home against the Celtics and the Nuggets. And if you win those, you're at, I think it's like 18-0, 19-0 now.
And I'm pretty sure that that's getting into like the longest Cavs win streak in history type beat like as well.
They already beat that.
Really?
Yeah, because I think
could have swore with
their longest streak was like 8-0 or something.
Well, I know that to start the season. I'm saying overall.
Oh, like a winning streak?
Yeah, because
yeah.
I want to say we almost hit it last year because if you recall, we got red hot before the All-Star break.
Yeah, because we went on like a 14-game run or something.
Longest win streak.
But
and I'm pretty sure it was I'm pretty sure the LeBron Cavs had like it was either 18 or like 20 wins. Like it was something dirty.
yeah.
Longest winning streak. Obviously we have 12 right now. Because I believe last year was very, very close. Maybe it was 13. Longest streak in one season was 13 wins. So we're literally about to pass that right now. Because that's currently going on. So the last time we did that was in 17 and 18, which makes sense because that was after we won the chip.
How long was it?
And 13.
13. Oh, so we could tie that tonight.
But we've done it 3 separate times.
So we could tie that tonight. Because tonight,
I swear last year we almost did that.
I think we might have done 13 in a row.
We did 9 in a row last
okay.
year. Okay, yeah, that makes sense because it says January 26th through February 12th, and that was right before All-Star break. So yeah, that's when that was. Okay, so I could have swore we were on such a longer streak.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this team is now about to beat their longest win streak, period. Not even just to start the season.
Well,
period.
With how the rest of the schedule goes, just by looking at it, the only good teams you're playing are in that time period are the Celtics and Nuggets. And then after that, you're playing the weak teams that you started the season with again before you go back to playing Golden State and the Lakers.
Yeah.
And by the time you hit the Golden State, you could be 26, 27 and 0.
Which is fucking ridiculous.
Which would be the best, not only winning streak in NBA history, but the best start in NBA history. Because remember, the 2015-2016 Warriors went 24-0 and started off the season.
Yeah.
And then we beat them in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Because they went on to win 73 games. We beat them in the Finals.
Right.
And then they got scared and got Kevin Durant.
Yep.
But there's a good chance you could tie that or even beat that this year with how the schedule looks.
Which is insane.
Which is crazy. And that's why I said, like, if that happens, if we talk to each other in the next couple of weeks and that happens, we're talking, can the Cavs beat the Golden State record at that point? Because they would have the same exact start. And you're saying, like, hey, these guys started off 24-0, 25-0. Can they actually go for the record and go win 74 games this year?
Right.
And it's the way we're playing, it seems like there's no stopping us.
No.
And right now, the only critique that I have for the Cavs is the third quarter. Because in the last few games, the third quarter has been atrocious for us. And that's when teams like Brooklyn went up by like 13. That's when teams like Chicago went up by like 10. But if you can solidify that third quarter, I don't see why you can't go for the record.
Right.
I don't see why you can't go 25-0 to start the year. Because at that point, the Celtics are rendered useless because the thing is, my thing about the Celtics is who's matching up with Allen and Mobley?
Yeah.
You're telling me fucking Al Horford's going to go up against those two? Go at that point, you can go screw yourself. The only guy I'm worried about on the Celtics right now is Pritchard.
Right.
He's the only guy I'm worried about. Peyton Pritchard's scary, and they just lost to the fucking Hawks last night.
Right.
So you're telling me that the Celtics are this unbeatable team too? Like, they just lost to Atlanta, and Atlanta sucks. And they didn't. I don't think they had Trae Young last night either.
Right.
So, for some reason, like I have this overbearing confidence about the Cavs right now, and it's a little scary because I never had this confidence before until the 2016 NBA Finals.
Yeah.
That was the last time I had this unbearing confidence.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like I don't fear any team really in the league right now. It like again, obviously the Cavs are going to lose eventually. So I just hope when they do, fans won't be like, oh my god, here we go. As long as they don't go on like significant losing streaks,
I don't
like
think they will.
like if you lose 1 or 2 games in a row and then you spill off a couple 5 or 6 game streaks, like you're gonna just continue to build. But the more 7, 8 game streaks that you make, the better off your season's going to be.
Yeah.
And as long as you can continue to keep your guys fresh throughout the year and you're still winning games, dude, you're giving yourself a good chance to A, get home court for the playoffs, and B,
What?
be fucking ready to go when other teams are literally scratching and crawling through the East to try to even get through.
Well, shit. At this point, the Cavs are obviously right now they're 12-0. They've only played 12 games. Same with the Celtics. And right now the Cavs are up 3 on the Celtics.
Yeah.
I think the Cavs can walk away with the Eastern Conference.
Yeah,
and
absolutely,
have home court. And to be honest, I've heard people already talking that the Cavs probably already almost guaranteed the Eastern Conference Finals, like walking to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah,
Because looking at what's been happening in the Eastern Conference, the only 2 teams in the East that are above 500 are the Cavs and Celtics. The Cavs at 12-0, Boston at 9-3. Ever since Banchero went down, Orlando has struggled quite a bit. They're 6-6. Now they're on a 3-game heater right now because they were 3-6, so they're on a 3-game heater right now.
right.
But the thing is, with the Magic right now, they're 5-0 at home. They're 1-6 on the road. So the Magic awful on the road right now. So
And just confirmed too, so Mobley and Jared Allen are both playing tonight.
oh, they're both playing.
Yep,
All right,
that
cool.
that was just confirmed by the one and only Serena Winters, who if you don't know, is the basically the on-court reporter for the Cavs, literally. So
yeah,
she's the one that does all of the post-game and pre-game stuff. So she's literally there. So yeah, that's confirmed. So that's cool.
Cool.
I am gonna put back my bet that I had earlier because before we started, I put a bet down for Evan Mobley to get the first basket in the game, and actually the wager went down even more. So I would have made more money the first time. So that kind
Yeah.
of stinks. But oh well, I don't really care. I'm just trying to win something at this point. So and I'm trying to get a little frisky and do something different. So
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, Cavs get ready to play the 76ers here in about half an hour, I think, is when
Yep.
tip off happens. So that will be cool. But I do want to move over and start getting back into the not so fun vibes. But what we started this channel on originally was always going to be the Browns, and we are off the bye week, going into a game versus the Saints, and this is a winnable game. Like, it's not like the Saints are super impressive. They obviously came off a win against Atlanta, but this still is very much a chance to win a game here. And I'm really curious if you really even want to win this game, or if you just think, hey, who really cares at this point? Because we're 2-7 now.
Yeah.
We're still a top 5 pick currently in the draft, so not looking good right now, but it's not over. We still have a lot of AFC North games to play after this, and things could pop off at any minute. So what's your feeling right now getting out of this bye week and getting into the last stretch of these games?
Yeah, I mean, if you really want some sense of pride, you're gonna want to go on and win.
Yeah.
And so I think the bye week was a good opportunity to just rest, reset, everyone just relax, not have any pressure on them. And
just get a chance to step away for a week.
yeah, and I think that's what happened. I think it was just a chance for all these guys to just step away, not worry about anything, not worry about football. And to be honest, I think it was much needed for the boys.
Yeah,
And
very much.
I think you have a great chance of going out there and beating the Saints. Like you said, they're not that tough. They did come off a win against Atlanta, but Atlanta's still a little beaten up too. And, Atlanta's an up and down team anyways.
Yeah.
They're either really good or they're really not.
It's the Kirk Cousins effect, man.
Yeah. And this is a game that's going to prep you against the Steelers next week.
Yeah, pretty much. Besides the fact that I just don't think the Saints have nearly as good of a defense as the Steelers do. I think the Steelers game is going to be, because I think is that one the Thursday night game?
Yes, I think this one is.
So that'll come off a short week as well. So coming off this bye week, actually, I think somewhat benefits us a little bit, especially against the Saints. I think the Steelers game is at home at least.
It's at home,
so that will help. And I think this game is at New Orleans.
Yeah,
so
you're in New Orleans, then you're at home against the Steelers, then you're away in Denver.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, you're going to be having a little rough stretch of traveling, but again, I think for this week especially, it actually could very well benefit us. And this is potentially like a little revenge game for Jameis.
Yeah.
Because he was with the Saints the last 2 or 3 seasons prior to being here, so this could be one of those games that he sort of like is really just ready to go for. He had obviously come off a really bad game 2 weeks ago, but it's a chance for the Browns to get back to do at least somewhat winning football. And yeah, I just think the bye week is going to actually benefit us for once, because I really think this team needed a chance to step away with how everything has been going. Guys just need a chance to just mentally check the fuck out for a minute and then come back. And that's what you got to do on your bye week. I mean, you obviously still stay in somewhat of a, routine with your, your workouts, your diet and all that shit. But getting a chance to just step away for a week, I think is going to really help this team. But what do you actually expect from this Browns team? Because again, as I said, the Saints are not a great team. Like I would say statistically, they're a worse team than we are.
Oh, 100%.
But because they just don't have anybody to throw to. I mean, freaking Olave's out. I mean, MVS went off last week, but I think he only had 3 or 4 catches, and 2 of them were bombs for touchdowns. And I'm sorry, but we have better corners, I think, than Atlanta does. So
yeah,
there's just a chance to do it, but what do you expect? Because it's hard to kind of trust the Browns right now with the way they've played, because it's a Derek Carr, and we just always seem to play really dumb against mid to average quarterbacks, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why either. I think we have a great chance on Sunday, to be honest. Like I said, this is a Jameis game where he could redeem himself. Like you said, there's no real offense for New Orleans except for Alvin Kamara. He's essentially the only offense they have. If you just take Kamara away, they don't have an offense. They can't do anything, because essentially Kamara is their running offense and their passing offense.
Yeah.
And also too, for the Saints, it's all depending on Derek Carr. How does Derek Carr play? If Derek Carr plays like trash, they don't score points.
Yeah.
We were bamboozled in the first 2 weeks when they dropped 40 in both of those games, thinking, oh shit, the Saints they're back. And next thing you know, they can't score to save their life. They can't perform. They don't have any offense whatsoever.
Right.
They just traded Marshawn Lattimore to Washington, so he's gone. There's nothing there anymore.
Yeah.
Their coaching staff is god awful. They don't have anything. And I'm not saying we have anything either. We're going to blow them out of the water. I think this is going to be a closer game than everyone expects it to be.
Yes.
But I think this is a good chance to get you a win, get that confidence up, and get ready for Thursday against Pittsburgh because you're at home. It's a Thursday night game. The vibes are going to be immaculate. And it's going to feel even better when you come off of a win.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to want to win because if they come home on Thursday Night Football with a loss to the Saints, there's going to be a lot of boos in that stadium.
Yeah.
A lot of boos.
And not only that, I people were saying, I think it was Carmen or it was the afternoon drive, it was one or the other. But they were talking like, I think some of the coaches, specifically Stefanski, I think he's getting heat from, from the Haslam's, as they should to to a degree. But I think everybody in the building has literally been given sort of a hey, if you can't meet this threshold for this season, there's going to be some serious discussions about your future here.
Yep.
And I think the Browns, especially the staff, they're going to be motivated to try to win. And again, you still have so much AFC North games to to play. You still play the Steelers twice. You play the Ravens and Bengals one more time.
Yeah.
You have a chance where, listen, if you're not going to make playoffs, fine, but you can ruin other people's chances to get in the playoffs. And if we want to be that type of team, fuck it. Give me that smoke. I want that because regardless, we're probably going to be a top 10 pick in the draft this year. And that's fine because I've been on the train of not drafting a quarterback for this season. I do not like the quarterback room really for this year. I really liked Cam Ward, and he's starting to slow down and starting to give me a little bit of the scaries. I think Quinn Ewers is great, but I don't think he's a guy that is like a first round talent to pick up and start instantly. He's gonna be another project. And I just don't know if the Browns are going to be patient enough to do that. So if you're thinking about another bridge quarterback, then if Winston plays good enough, you can bring him back and keep him as that bridge and then go for it again once Watson is off the fucking books, or at least you don't have 140 million on your cap to worry about anymore. Because we still don't have any idea how that's going to go off for this offseason. But it's not like the Browns have to totally tear everything down. And I know Browns fans, there's plenty out there that are really saying that, and I understand the level of thinking there, but I want people to understand that is the old Browns fan mindset that we cannot continue to have. We cannot continue to keep tearing shit down just and then build back up from the ground up. You need changes? Yes. But you don't need to tear the whole fucking thing down.
No.
Look at what Washington has done.
Yeah.
Now they are a prominent team with a solid young quarterback who's going to be there for the next decade plus if they do it right. Scary Terry is a legit wide receiver one now. They have solid depth at running back. They have a solid defense now. They have a coach that all the players have bought into. It took Dan Campbell 3 or 4 seasons to get the Lions to where they are now. Like I think this is season 5 because I think he was. I think he started. I want to say he started coaching at the same time Stefanski did. I'm pretty sure it was either 20 or 21. But we have to give some of these guys enough time. Now Stefanski, this is his 5th season. And he's had some mid seasons, but he's also been coach of the year twice. I do not think he is the main issue. And if you get rid of him, you're just going to set yourself back even further than you are, already with Watson. Watson was the thing that killed us. We took a chance on a guy like Watson and we fucked it up. We got that one wrong. So let's admit it and move on. Just like Denver did with Russ, because now Russ is in a better spot in Pittsburgh. And Denver is in a better spot with Bo Nix. Denver is a good team. We're probably going to lose to Denver here in a few weeks. We're probably going to lose to.
I'm shaking in my boots against Denver.
Yeah,
like
Denver
I'm not even kidding. I am
solid. Their freaking defense is good. Like They're a solid team. And guess what? We fucking took Jerry Judy from them, and they don't even seem like they needed him at this
No.
point. And it just proves you do
don't
not need to tear the whole damn thing down. You just need to truly identify the exact things that you need to change. You change them and you keep moving forward. This draft is going to be stacked with so much goodness, in running backs, receivers, and all of the other main positions that we are going to need. And you still have free agency. The salary cap is not going to be in shambles. I can promise you. We're going to figure it out. Everything isn't going to just fall from the ceiling. I know it. So we need to stop freaking the fuck out. I know this season has sucked. I don't know what has gone wrong yet, but we will figure it out. We will get out of it. And the Browns will be back by 2026. And I know some people don't have that patience, but this is what we need right now. So I know that was a little long-winded, but I just needed to get that off my chest because, man, I've been listening to 92.3, the fans, so much, and I'm just hearing these fans spew this shit. And it's like half of these guys don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. And you hear guys like Ken Carman and Baskin, just you can physically hear them shaking their heads, just like, my God, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing here? Like, we were fighting for playoffs last year, and now we're here. Like, of course it's frustrating, but it's not that far off.
And these are just couch coaches who think they know the game, and in reality,
guys don't way too much Madden.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're like, well, if we blow it all up, we can salvage this. No, like, you're just a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
By the way, Dan Campbell started coaching the Lions in 2021.
Okay, so yeah, somewhere around there.
So he's been the coach for about 3.5 years now.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, with Washington, with Denver, with a couple of these other teams, all it really took was just a QB change.
Yeah.
And a QB change in maybe a couple other places. I think Washington, they bolstered their O-line a little bit, and they got a QB. Same with, for Denver, they just got rid of Russell Wilson, just got Bo Nix, and that already changed a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's all you need is just a replacement QB. But look what the Browns did right after Watson went down. Winston came in, and he went out and beat the Ravens.
Yeah.
And it changed everything. He threw for over 330 yards. And we're like, see, the problem was Deshaun Watson, because if Jameis Winston with this terrible O-line can throw for 300 yards, then Watson should have no excuse not to throw for 200 yards. And Watson could barely get past 150.
Yeah.
So it's not so much tearing it all down. The thing is, too, we can blame the receivers a lot, too, because they have dropped a lot of balls, and especially a lot of good ones. Like I can remember 2 weeks ago where Jameis threw a lot of good balls that were just dropped.
Yeah.
And these were 20-yard receptions, 30-yard receptions. These were deep balls, too, that should have been caught, and you would have had a monster play. Instead, the guys can't sit there and catch the ball to save their fucking life.
Yeah.
So, and don't get me wrong, there's blame for that, too, when Watson was the quarterback as well, where Watson did make good throws, but they were dropped.
Yeah.
So, in reality, yes, QB does deserve a lot of the blame. Deshaun Watson deserved so much of the blame because he just made dumb mistakes that got himself sacked.
Yeah.
And he just made throws that just didn't exist. There's blame on play calling. Like, why the hell did we go from the Ravens running a lot of play action and shit to going back to the 5 wide offense the week after against the Chargers? Like, why the hell did we switch it up? Like, why change things that work? Now, I don't know what's really going on, but for the couch potatoes and the couch coaches that don't know what the fuck is going on, if you have a competent quarterback in that offense, we'd be at least 500 right now.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be complaining about a whole lot of this shit going on. But like you said, a lot of these teams made 1 or 2 switches and they're back to playoff contenders.
Yeah.
Detroit, they shipped the farm. They got rid of Matt Stafford, got Jared Goff. And that was supposed to be, and they got Dan Campbell in that same year, and that was supposed to be them tanking.
Right.
And it ended up working because now they're a Super Bowl contender with
Yeah.
Jared Goff. And to be fair to Jared Goff did go to the Super Bowl with the Rams. So that's fair for Jared Goff because Jared Goff's like, listen, I've been to the fucking bowl. I know what it takes to get there.
Yep.
Everyone thought I was being shipped here to be a part of rebuild where I'm probably going to be out in the next 2 years. You guys are going to draft a rookie and I'm going to be gone.
Yeah.
And they did. They drafted Hendon Hooker, thinking that Hendon Hooker is going to start over Jared Goff. Jared Goff turned into prime Tom Brady.
Literally.
And decided to go off, and here we are. The Detroit Lions are Super Bowl favorites at this point.
And guess what? They've fucking built through the draft. They did not do a whole lot in free agency. They've built through the draft. The only major free agents that they've really gotten to is Jared Goff and probably Montgomery.
Yeah.
But like Laporta drafted.
DeAndre Swift drafted.
Both, yeah. Well, I mean, Swift is in Chicago now, but
I mean, Swift, yeah. I meant Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs drafted. Amon drafted. Jameson Williams drafted. Hayden Hutchinson drafted. I'm pretty sure half of the linebackers are drafted. The only other thing that they've really done there, I think they might have signed a big time corner, and I know they obviously just traded for Darius, but that's really just because Aiden's out.
Yeah.
They haven't done a whole lot in that department, and they have their window, and they're getting ready to hit it, and they know it's do or die because some of these guys are gonna need big fucking paydays, but they're at least built for it. They're prepared for it, and the cap is going to continue to go up. That's what people keep fucking forgetting. The cap will continue to go up every year. It like it has every year for the past 5 seasons, and it will continue to grow. So I don't want to hear the crap about the cap. I get it, but not all hope will be lost.
No.
It's just going to be a rough next month or so, and it's going to suck. I know Twitter is going to suck, but if the Browns can at least string off, if we can finish the season 6-11, honestly, I'll take it because after the start we had, if Jameis can at least win 5 games for us, I think that says enough to where we're like, okay, had we started with him, we probably go 10-6 or 10-7, or something around there. Yeah, and it's just, it is what it is. It's a shoulda, woulda, coulda, but we know Watson was clearly a problem, and then we need to just identify what else is a problem, like who really needs to leave. And there's going to be some more staffing guys that are really going to leave. Scouting is going to need readjusted. Andrew Berry, DePodesta, probably gone. At least DePodesta, man. That dude's so fucking worthless, and I'm tired of saying his name every week. But
I think with that, a lot of those guys, you're going to see a lot of those guys get shipped off, and I think you're going to see some of the coaching staff shipped off too.
You have to.
I think you see Callie Brownson and the other guy, the 2 wide receiver coaches, getting laid off, getting fired because the receivers can't catch to save their life. I think Barry gets fired. I think
the O-line coach could probably get canned too.
Gets canned.
I would assume there's going to be some other positional ones, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I don't want to necessarily say that I want Schwartz to get fired. I just wouldn't be surprised if he gets fired. And I said this before we recorded. It almost just seems like it's more of some guys just have sort of a outdated way.
Yeah.
In their just what they run or just their philosophies, whatever it is. And I think Schwartz's time is just starting to run out in that aspect. Because ever since the Houston game, he's been ass. And the guys clearly don't know how to communicate. I don't know still why this is 3 or 4 years in. We're still having problems communicating. So it could very well be the players. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you can still afford to get rid of guys like Newsome and Thornhill who are clearly being fucking problems.
Yeah.
And I get it. They are egos and they have, these big ass personalities and stuff. But guys like Ward and even Emerson, it's not bad. Although he's had a down year, I think he's just in a weird rut mentally for whatever reason. And
I
I
think
don't know.
I think if there's a coordinator that gets fired, I think it's Ken Dorsey.
Yeah.
I think Ken Dorsey's the one that gets laid off because I think the offense was just fine when it was Stefanski and AVP.
Yeah.
I think Ken Dorsey fucked the playbook because I think there's just too much shotgun in it, and you don't have quarterbacks that are good in the shotgun.
Yeah.
You have guys who are great in the old Stefanski playbook, which is a lot of play action and run.
Right.
And I think they need to go back to that playbook where it's a lot of run plays and a lot of play action because that's what Cleveland football is a lot of heavy run and a lot of play action.
Yeah.
Because like the Baltimore game, you ran the ball a decent amount, did some play action, receivers were open, and players were open. I think with what's been going on, I think there's a lot of people who are on the chopping block. I think there's two safe people are Stefanski and God, you just said his name too, the defensive coordinator.
Schwartz.
Yeah, I think Jim Schwartz and Kevin Stefanski are the two safe people essentially right now.
And
everyone else is up for it.
And guess what too? If you want to replace either one, there's a guy named Mike Vrabel that's keen to probably fit either.
Well, and that's the thing.
One.
I think if you did fire Jim Schwartz, I think Mike Vrabel becomes your number one defensive coordinator immediately.
Yeah, he has to. The only way that he does not is if there's a job in Columbus that opens up, which could also very well happen.
Yeah.
It really just depends on how Ryan Day does this. But if Ryan Day gets fired, Mike Vrabel is going to be the first guy that they call. And honestly, I'm cool with that. Like I would beg for that, but I again, we'll see because this is Browns talk, but the point is, I don't think we need to do all of that, but there's going to be changes. So it just is what it is. I just don't think we need to tear this thing from the ground up and just tear it all down. I don't think we need to gut this team the way that some people think we do. It just there needs to be some shifts and some restructuring here and there. And with that, there's going to be a lot more cap that's going to open up because if you're going to get rid of guys like Teller, if Petonio retires, like there's a lot of guys we're going to not probably have on this team next year. So that's pretty much how it's going to go. But yeah, this is a very winnable game this week, and we'll see what version of the Browns we get, to be honest.
Yeah, no kidding. It's going to be crazy to see, but
yeah. But anyways,
hopefully it's dumb.
Anyways, we might as well get to the Week 11 predicts since we've been going for almost an hour now. So we'll try to run through these sort of quick. I don't really want to take too much time. Are you able to make that any bigger?
Oh, yeah. Let me...
Because we so if you guys tuned into our live stream on Saturday, we found out how to do this beforehand. And we were like, oh, look, we can get it a little bit bigger. So maybe we can, maybe we can't. I don't know.
I don't think it works with them. I don't think it's working with the picture.
It's so dumb. Whatever. It's big. It's big enough.
It's working for like my my Twitter screen. Like if I want to,
yeah.
Like if I do this, hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
If I exit it out, I mean, look how big my X screen is.
Yeah.
It works for that, but maybe if I re-click on it, maybe it doesn't work. I don't think it works for the picture.
And also, shout out to Trip NFL because we always get these graphics from him. And like we don't even know him. We just use him because he puts them up and he's awesome. So yeah, shout out to him. I don't want to obviously steal his his stuff without giving him credit or anything. So
yeah.
But yeah, Thursday night game, Washington in Philadelphia. Pretty good game, honestly.
Yeah, it's a very good game. It's a tough one because it's obviously a rivalry. It's NFC East, so it's a tough one, man. But I'm going with Washington. I think they're playing really well, and I think as of right now, the only team that can beat Philly right now in that division is Washington.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Washington came off a really tough loss. You know, I obviously picked the
Yeah.
Steelers to beat them, and they barely
At
did.
one point.
The Eagles are starting to catch a little bit of fire though, and because of that, I'm gonna pick the Eagles. But I think this is gonna be a close, fun game. I'm not sure if it's gonna be necessarily high scoring.
No.
But it's going to be a fun game. I just think the Eagles defense is a little bit better, and Jalen Hurts has been playing a lot better. Barkley is obviously who he is, and you know,
I think the addition.
their offense is finally flowing.
I think the one thing I like is their addition of Marshawn Lattimore in Washington.
Yes,
I think
but
that's the
I
one
don't
big
think he's
addition.
playing this week.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing this week, but
Yeah, for sure he's out.
I still think that if anyone can stop Saquon, it's this defense, because other than that, no one else is stopping Saquon.
Yeah.
All right, Chicago and Green Bay, again, another NFC North massive matchup, massive rivalry here.
Green Bay owns Chicago. I mean, I know Chicago just fired their their OC. I don't think it's going to matter. I
No.
think Chicago will play better than they have been, but Green Bay's a good team. They have a solid defense. I know Jordan Love has kind of slowed down a little bit, but I think this is a game for them to really start getting back in the flow. So I got Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. Green Bay owns Chicago, and that's all we really need is Green Bay owns Chicago. Chicago just fired their offensive coordinator, and we don't know how the Chicago offense is going to look at this point now.
Right.
So I went with the Green Bay Packers. All right. Jacksonville and Detroit. I think this is a pretty easy one.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be Mac Jones time in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So I think Detroit they should handle this pretty easily.
Yeah, they really should. And like you said, Mac Jones time. I don't trust Mac Jones and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know how Dougie Boy still has a job at this point, but he should be gone too.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, we have the Dolphins and Raiders.
I actually really like the way that the Dolphins played on Monday night. I know they lost, but they played it. Actually, no, did they win that game?
Miami won.
Yeah, that's right. Miami won. They played a lot better. They finally got Tyreek going. Odell played, and they have something going. The Raiders do not. Like the Raiders, ever since they played us, they've been ass cheeks. I mean, I think the Raiders are probably a worse team than us, but because they've beaten us, they're not. But the Raiders are trash, and
Yeah,
I see Miami doing it. Plus, I think Miami's I'm at home here, so
yeah. I mean, Miami's at home. Like you said, Vegas has been god awful, and Miami was able to get Tyreek and Waddle going a little bit on Monday night. So I just think having Tua back and whatnot really helps Miami in this case, and Miami's just going to win.
right.
Rams and Patriots.
This might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm going Pats.
Okay.
I believe in Drake May a lot. I really like his attitude. I thought he was going to be great for them. The Rams are just a very inconsistent team.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally showed it on freaking Monday night, and now I recall that's who Miami played because I was like, who the fuck did they play on Monday night? I
Yeah,
totally
it's the Rams.
forgot. It was the Rams, and they didn't score a single fucking touchdown. It was 5 or 6 field goals.
Yeah.
And that Christian Gonzalez for New England is a stud. He is a very solid corner. Yeah, I just see the Pats beating them here.
Yeah, I agreed with you actually. I was before we started, I kind of went back and forth.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, the Rams, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are back and they've been on fire. Kyron Williams has been really good. But my issue right now is just Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
I think he slowed down a lot after the Super Bowl win. And I just don't think he looks the same anymore. So for me, and their defense is kind of off and on. It could be really good or it could be really bad. So I went with the Pats. Like you said, Drake May makes this team look really good. And like you said, Gonzalez in the corner slot has been on fire, dude. Like he's been crazy good.
Yes. But
So
yeah,
I
I
like the
mean,
pass.
dude, I just love like Drake Mays. Like his head is in is in the right spot. Like he's a very humble kid.
Yeah,
Like he's likable. He's like Bo Nix for me.
he,
They're both likable.
well, yeah, they're both likable because they just both enjoy football and they both enjoy playing football, and they're like they play like they're like little kids again. And I think that's why they're so successful is because it's not like a job. It's like I'm just playing football, man. Like I'm
Pretty much everybody but freaking Caleb Williams has been likable from this draft
yeah,
in terms of QBs. Yeah.
yeah. Because Jane Daniels, I like him a lot too.
Yeah, me too. I love him. He's great.
All right, our boys, Browns versus Saints.
Uh, my instinct was to say the Saints because we suck, but I'm going Browns. I think coming off the bye week, it's going to be a fun game. I think Winston plays a lot better this week. I don't expect him to have a 300-yard game, but again, this could very well also be one of those games where he just goes to fuck off because it's a former team he's playing. I'm saying like 23-17 type beat. Yeah, I just think the Browns can beat this. So I'm gonna say they do it off the bye week.
Yeah, I think the Browns get it done off the bye week. I think Jameis wins the revenge game. They New Orleans lost to Marshawn Lattimore. Their defense is pretty weakened. I think, and for me personally, I think this is a Nick Chubb game where I think Nick Chubb finally has like a good game coming back, and he goes for more than like 70 yards rushing or whatnot.
That's a very solid call. I actually totally agree with that.
Yeah, I think this is a game where Nick Chubb, you can see Nick Chubb go off and get back to his old self, like look like his old self again.
Yeah.
Because the Saints, their defensive line is garbage. Their whole defense is just garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And the only defense help that you had was Marshawn Lattimore, and he's gone now.
Mm-hmm.
So that allows Winston to throw the ball freely. That allows Nick Chubb to run through the defensive line freely. And I think this is just a Nick Chubb game. I think this is a Nick Chubb and Jameis Winston game. So I think the Browns can come off confident on the bye week, get a win, head to Pittsburgh.
Hell yeah.
All right. Ravens and Pittsburgh, speaking of. This is a tough one.
Yeah, this is a tough one. The Steelers have a much better defense, but we know that the Ravens can score. And the Steelers haven't been like impressive on offense. They've done what they need,
to
need
win.
to do.
Yeah.
But after that Washington game, I'm actually going to pick the Ravens here. I think the Ravens, they just kind of find ways to win. Like again, I know their defense isn't great, but honestly, like if you stop Najee, you probably stop the Steelers offense, and it's just really hard to bet against Lamar, man. It really is. Like the kid really is clutch. I just can't say enough about it. So I'm gonna go Baltimore.
Yeah, I chose Baltimore for the fact that, like you said, that the Steelers' offense isn't super talented and they aren't super crazy good. Like you said, as long as you stop Najee Harris, I mean that stops the entire offense.
Yeah.
So I don't think the defense could save them this time. Like you said, the Ravens defense is trash, but it's not like Russell Wilson's throwing the ball crazy either. So I don't think they have to worry about the Steelers throwing the ball.
Yeah.
And the Ravens in their offense have been scoring 30+ points as far as since pretty much us.
Right.
And since us, and then finally after they played us, they're back to scoring good heavy points again. So, and they just damn near dropped 40 on Cincinnati.
Right.
So I think this is the game where the Steelers finally get checked in and they're back to, reality as they finally play a good team and they get curb stomped by a good team.
Hell yeah.
All right. Vikings and Titans. I mean, again, it should be another easy one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Vikings have not been playing that well. Like Sam Darnold's back to earth now.
Yeah.
But I do think this is a easier game for them to win. But I do think Tennessee is going to keep it close. They're starting to play a little bit better. Calvin Ridley is starting to finally get going a little bit. I just don't think they have quite enough in the tank to beat the Vikings.
Yeah, I went with Minnesota. I'm going based off of like kind of like defensive purposes for this one. Minnesota's defense is one of the best in the league.
Yeah, they are.
Tennessee, one of the worst in the league. I think Sam Darnold should have no problem looking like the early season Sam Darnold, where he just threw for like 300 yards a game and multiple touchdowns. The Titans are they're about on the level of like the Saints and the Browns. Like they're just really, really bad, and this should just be an easy game for Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Jets versus Colts. And before you make your prediction on this, I will say it did come out and say that they are going back to Anthony Richardson as a starting QB.
I saw that, yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure you knew that and kept that in mind, because I was like, we can't base this off of Joe Flacco anymore. This is Anthony Richardson again.
Honestly, I don't even think it would really matter who's starting quarterback at the Colts. I'm still probably going to pick the Jets here. I know the Jets looked like ass against the Cardinals. It's just I'm not bought into what the Colts are doing, and it's not helping them continuing to go back and forth between these quarterbacks. It's not helping anybody. What they need to do, like the Colts really want to do well, surround your offense this year at least around Jonathan fucking Taylor. He's your best player, period. Go and rush him for 30 attempts a game if you have to. That's the way you're going to win games, because your defense is mid and your quarterback still needs at least another season or two before he starts actually competing. So I'm still going Jets. I think the Jets have a bounce back game, and A-Rod sort of gets back in the flow.
Yeah. Again, with this game, I've been kind of just back and forth. I mean, the Cardinals won fucking 31-6.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
they
let's but let's also say though, the Cardinals are leading that division at the moment as well. So
yeah.
I didn't know that the Cardinals are not that bad this year. So that was my bad not picking them last week, because they've been good.
Yeah, and I mean, just looking at what's been going on with the New York Jets, I mean, looking at their scores, the teams they won were against the Titans, the Patriots, and the Texans.
Yeah.
3 teams that haven't really showed out. They lost to the Niners, the Broncos, the Vikings, the Bills, the Steelers, the Pats. They lost to the Cardinals. I don't know about the Colts. I think I'm going to go Indianapolis here, just for the fact that I don't know what the hell happened to the Jets and what's been going on, but they've been really struggling over this season. And when we think
their defense is getting worse too.
Their defense is getting worse. Aaron Rodgers has just not looked like himself like we all thought he would.
Yeah.
And I don't think the addition of Devontae Adams has really even done much.
No, it hasn't.
They still look the same. So I'm going with the Colts here. I don't think it matters who the QB is for the Colts right now. I think they're going to be either way. I just think that they're going to get carried by Jonathan Taylor. I think they're going to get carried by that defense, and it's just going to help them beat the Jets.
Interesting. All right.
So I like the Colts, yeah. All right, Atlanta and Denver.
This is a game I'm actually kind of going back and forth with as well, because Atlanta's just not doing a whole lot. They're so inconsistent. They're literally one of the hardest teams to really predict. But dude, I've been a Bo Nix guy all year. I think I'm gonna go Denver.
Don't be shocked, because I went Denver for this as well.
Let's go.
Like you said, Bo Nix has just really surprised me this year, and I thought he's been playing really well. And for some reason, like you said, when we were talking about Atlanta earlier, my mind just kind of like shifted away from them because I was like, they really haven't been playing really well.
No.
They haven't really been wowing anybody. So, and Denver's at home too, so I went with Denver.
Yeah.
All right. San Francisco and Seattle.
I'm going San Fran here. I think Seattle keeps it close, but San Fran's starting to get a little bit, healthier now. I know CMC really didn't do anything last week, but San Fran's defense is still pretty solid.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The Seahawks are just a weird team. Like Geno Smith has the capability of going the fuck off, and as of late, he just hasn't. I don't know. I just don't have a lot of confidence with Seattle, so I'm going San Fran.
Yeah, Seattle's really took a dip as the season went on. I went with San Fran because San Francisco has just been playing really good football.
Especially at home.
Yeah. And even like losing Brandon Ayuk, that really hasn't hindered them really much at all because George Kittle has looked real. Obviously, George Kittle's picked up a lot of the receptions. Juwan Jennings has looked good. Ricky
Even Purcell,
Ricky Purcell has been looking really good too. So I don't think them losing Debo for a couple of games and even losing Ayuk for the season has really even hurt them at all. And they just got Christian McCaffrey back too.
Because Brock Purdy is honestly playing lights the fuck out. So
yeah, he's playing lights out again. McCaffrey's back.
Yeah.
So I mean, at that point, it's over.
Yeah.
So I went with San Fran. All right, KC and Buffalo.
This is my favorite one.
Yeah.
KC gets their first loss. Buffalo comes out fucking swinging. I think Buffalo comes in with some fucking smoke, man. I'm pretty sure it's in Buffalo.
It is.
Kansas City should have lost last week. Denver had them on the fucking ropes, and Kansas City found a way to just block it. I think the Bills do it.
What's funny too is I think it's one of those the refs helped KC win that game because I think someone pointed out on Twitter that there was 3 penalties on that game-winning touchdown drive, or whatever, by the Chiefs. There was like 3 penalties in that last touchdown.
Yeah,
it was like there was a offensive holding because there's like a point where like Mahomes was probably gonna get sacked. So they're like there's like an offensive hold. There was another offensive hold on one of the receivers because they held like one of the defensive. And then there was like something else. Oh, I think it was like an illegal hands to the face or something.
Makes sense.
And they're like, there's like 3 separate penalties they could have called, and you just never did.
Yeah.
So again, another game that the refs helped KC win. Yeah. But I went with you. I saw this game and I was like, give me Buffalo all day, every day.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I was like, they're at home. And I think the only team that could beat Kansas City at this point in time right now is the Buffalo Bills.
Me too.
And I can't wait for Josh Allen to just go crazy and just go off in this game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fucking fun game too. But
this is going to be a shootout.
I think the Bills got this.
Yeah, I think the Bills could win this game, and I'm so locked in for this game. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, Bengals. Our first Sunday night game. Bengals and Chargers.
This might be a somewhat upset. I think the Bengals do it here. The Bengals offense has looked great. Their defense just sucks. But the thing about the Chargers is their offense isn't that impressive, but their defense is really good. So it's going to come down to which one stops who. But Joe Burrow has been playing really, really good. He should have beaten Baltimore last week. They obviously didn't because their defense sucks. And I don't know. I just don't see it happening again. I think Burrow comes out with a dub.
Yeah, I went with Cincinnati just because of just kind of looking at the last game against the Ravens. Their offense looked really good, especially on the road. Jamar Chase had 270 fucking receiving yards, which is beyond me. I just think I think Joe Burrow has been playing really good over the last few games, and Cincinnati has finally found themselves. And I think they're finally like, okay, we're back to what we were last year in last couple of years. We're back to Bengals football.
Yep.
And they're starting to play well again. So I went with Cincinnati because I think they're the ones on a hot streak right now. Like you said, the offense for the Chargers is super streaky. And the only thing that can really help them is their defense. The Chargers and the Pittsburgh Steelers are the same team, essentially.
Yeah.
Very, very streaky offenses, but really good defenses.
Yeah.
So I went with the Bengals. And then the last game, Monday Night Football, Houston Texans versus the Dallas Cowboys.
Houston should win this game. I know they flopped against Detroit, but Dallas is just they're in
Horrible.
the gutter. They're in the gutter, and it's not going to get better. Dallas is going to be a bottom feeder with us, and yeah, they're a pretty bad team.
Yeah, I went with Houston as well. I agreed with everything you said. I think Dallas is a bottom feeder team. After losing Dak Prescott, that just kind of solidified everything and confirmed it. And even with Dak Prescott, they didn't have an offense to begin with. The running back room is kind of mediocre. They don't really have any.
It's old as fuck.
The running back room's old as fuck. Apart from obviously Rico Dowdle. Yeah. They only have one good receiver anymore, and that's CeeDee Lamb. They don't, and their defense is just torn up to shit. Like, their defense is awful. There a lot of injuries, a lot of players have just. Trevon Diggs has took a downturn after his 11 pick season. He took a massive downturn. Yeah. They just haven't looked good whatsoever since their win against us, essentially. So I went with the Houston Texans. They kept it really close against Detroit. They should have probably capped it off, but they didn't. But Dallas is just god awful right now, and I think they remain awful.
Yeah, they're terrible as fuck.
So, yep, I went with Houston.
Awesome. All right. I mean, again, pretty much like last week, we pretty much had most of the same picks, which I know can bore some people, but with some of these games, it's
predictable.
Yeah, even though last week I think I went what 10-6 or something, or
9-5.
Yeah, 9-5. Yeah, I did not have a good game because I missed out on the Bengals. I missed out on
the Giants,
the Jets, Atlanta, and I think I got the Rams as well. The only difference that we had was you got the Washington game wrong.
I got the Washington game wrong.
So yeah, I mean that's the name of the game. But I mean, listen, all we care about is just praying for a Browns dub at this point. Just for some confidence, just some. Just give me something. Because this Cavs team's great. I love it. I absolutely love it. But I really need a Browns win just for my psyche. So let's pray we get one.
Yeah, the Browns prayer circle.
Yeah, literally. So, Drew, you got anything else before we log off today?
Go Cavs, baby.
Go Cavs. And hey, listen, guys. So this is going to be obviously uploaded on Friday. I don't know if we're gonna live stream the Bucks game this week because it's gonna be another very mid game, but we might live stream the Browns game. We'll see. But this could be somewhat of a thing that we'll do for at least the rest of the season, especially if the Browns continue to win a few games. Then it'll be even more fun to do. But we're gonna live stream at least the scoreboard and just kind of talk and BS for the whole game or until we're ready to get off. So. Continue to stay locked in on that. Continue to stay locked in on TikTok. We're going to be continuing to upload more and more on there as well.
Yeah.
We are going to be a lot more active. So stay tuned. We'll see you guys next time.